My mother was in the business of breeding and selling seedlings. Ever since I was a child, I have seen her do it with love and passion. Her knowledge of plants and her ability to grow beautiful and healthy seedlings has always fascinated me. My mother, Maria, started her business when I was still a child. We had a small plot of land, and she turned it into a small garden, where she planted various varieties of flowers, trees, and shrubs. Mother always said that every seedling is a small miracle of nature, and her task is to help them grow and flourish. From the very beginning I was interested in this process. I watched how my mother takes care of the seedlings, processes them, waters them and monitors their health. Slowly but surely, I began to learn from her, helping in all aspects of the business. My mother taught me how to properly plant, fertilize, and transplant plants, and how to take care of them so that they grow strong and healthy. Over the years our business has grown and we have expanded our collection of strains. We sold seedlings in the local market and via the internet. I helped my mom manage orders, process payments, and pack seedlings for delivery. It was wonderful to see how people find joy in our plants and create beauty in their gardens thanks to our seedlings. Over time, I became not just an assistant, but also an active participant in the business. We started experimenting with new varieties, doing research, improving our growing technique and promoting our products. I became interested in this work and realized that my future is connected with plants and gardening. My mother was my inspiration and mentor. Thanks to her perseverance and hard work, our business flourished, and I found myself in this area. I realized that I wanted to continue her work and develop our company even more. And so I became a part of this fascinating and noble world of gardening. Now I see that my mother gave me not only knowledge and skills, but also important life lessons on how to develop a business with love, hard work and a constant desire to learn and improve. I am proud to be a full member of the family business. And every day I learn more about plants, how to create beauty around us and share it with other people. I was completely satisfied with my life, the only thing I lacked was a loved one next to me. But soon fate helped me with this, and I met Sylvia. This meeting took place on one normal working day when I was at my workplace in our kennel. I took care of customer service, helped them choose the right seedlings and gave advice on how to care for them. Then Sylvia entered my kennel. Sylvia entered the nursery and immediately attracted my attention with her attractiveness and grace. She had long, thick hair that swayed lightly with every step she took. Her brown eyes were sparkling and full of vitality. I noticed that she had soft skin and a sparkling smile that added to her special charm. She was dressed in stylish yet comfortable clothes that emphasized her natural beauty. She opted for a light blue floral print blouse that showed off her petite figure. Knee-length shorts and sandals made her look light and summery. Sylvia looked well-groomed and stylish. Her charm and natural attractiveness immediately caught the attention of everyone in the kennel. Everyone around noticed her presence, and no wonder, because her bright appearance reflected her inner beauty and charm, as I found out later. Welcome to our cattery. How can I help you today? Politely and with a smile, I asked her. Hello. I would like to purchase some seedlings for my garden. I need flowering plants that will attract butterflies and birds. Of course, we have an excellent selection of such seedlings. I'm glad you contacted us. Can you tell me a little more about your garden? What size lot and what style do you prefer? I have a small garden, about 1.5 acres. I want to create a corner of nature where butterflies can fly freely and where birds can find shelter. I like the natural style of the garden with many flowering plants and ornamental shrubs. Wonderful. We have several varieties to suit your garden. Butterfly-attracting plants usually have bright flowers and a sweet scent. And birds like shrubs with dense foliage and berries. I can show you several options that match your wishes. I took Sylvia around our nursery, showing her different varieties of plants and talking about each one. We discussed their features, care requirements and flowering season. You really are very good at plants. I am very grateful for your help. Could you also recommend me some fertilizers and seedling care methods? Sylvia looked at me gratefully. Certainly. We offer organic fertilizers that are well suited for plants. They allow you to maintain a natural balance in the soil and provide plants with the necessary nutrients. I can also share with you some watering and pruning tips to keep your seedlings growing healthy and beautiful. Thank you for your attention to detail and helpful tips. I am very glad that I contacted you. You are a real expert. Thank you for your kind words. I really enjoy helping people create beautiful gardens. If you have any further questions or need further assistance, please do not hesitate to contact us. Necessarily. And I would like to invite you for a cup of coffee to thank you again for your time and attention, if you don't mind. With pleasure. I will be happy to spend time with you over a cup of coffee. I will wait for your invitation. Thus began our communication with Sylvia. We exchanged phone numbers and Sylvia left. Soon she became not only my client, but also a close friend. Our communication and meetings often took place against the backdrop of the beauty of nature, which we created together. We have been married for 23 years. Almost all this time we spent in harmony and complete mutual understanding. I was extremely happy that my life turned out this way. My business picked up new momentum, and there was enough money to provide for Sylvia and all her wishes. We had everything we wanted. It was a sin to complain about such a life. I ran the business, and Sylvia didn't have to work anymore. She took care of the house. And everything was fine until one moment. Once I came home early. Sylvia clearly did not expect to see me at home so early. She was talking on the phone and did not notice me coming home. I didn't pay attention to who she was talking to. But as soon as she noticed me, she immediately hung up. She looked worried. She immediately changed the topic of conversation, and I did not ask her who she was talking to. But after that, things got even weirder. I began to notice that Sylvia was going somewhere and didn't warn me. She began to change the subject each time, as if making up excuses as she went. This started to worry me a lot. Sylvia was obviously hiding something, but she was in no hurry to tell me. And one day I decided to deal with it. If she doesn't want to tell me the truth, I'll find out for myself. And I decided to follow Sylvia. I chose the day when I decided not to go to work, but I didn't tell Sylvia about it. I went outside, walked a little and sat on a bench in the park, not far from our house. From here there was a good view. I could safely see when Sylvia left the house. And we didn't have to wait long. Soon I saw Sylvia leave the house and walk quickly in a direction unknown to me. I followed her. We went down to the subway. There were a lot of people. And it was hard to follow Sylvia without being noticed, but I could see which stop she got off at. I followed her. We approached some private house, on the territory of which there was a small building, resembling an ordinary barn. And Sylvia went into this shed. I didn't understand what she was doing here. But I followed her. I didn't think of a way to follow her further, I just decided to go through the same door that Sylvia had entered. When I went inside, I saw how Sylvia was smiling at some man and talking to him nicely. "What's going on here, Sylvia?" I asked angrily. Sylvia turned pale, her expression changed abruptly. The man, too, turned around in surprise and looked at me. "William, this is clearly not what you thought," Sylvia answered, frightened. "Well, of course. You have been behaving strangely for several weeks now, keeping something back. And when I decided to follow you, I suddenly saw you in some barn with a stranger." "William, I'll explain everything." "All right, Sylvia, I'm listening carefully. Meet this my art teacher, Carl." Sylvia introduced this man. "Drawing teacher?" I asked in bewilderment. "Yes, William. Carl teaches me how to draw. Look around, it's a painting workshop." I looked around, there really was everything for drawing, a lot of paints, canvases. "Well, then why didn't you tell me about it right away, but always came up with some ridiculous excuses? Why couldn't you just tell me everything?" I asked nervously. "I just wanted to surprise you. I wanted to draw a portrait of you and me with my own hands for our wedding anniversary." "Sylvia, well, you give." "Of course, I am very pleased, but you scared me a lot, I have already come up with the most terrible things." "Honey, I'm sorry, I didn't think it would turn out like this. I wanted the best. And forgive me, Sylvia. In vain I started all this and ruined your surprise. Carl, forgive me for having to witness this scene of jealousy. And so I found myself in a very awkward situation, because I could not trust my wife. Henceforth, I decided not to play with fantasy anymore, but simply to trust it more, so as not to look like a jealous idiot again. And everything was fine with us. Sylvia went to her lessons, and yet she presented our joint portrait. I did not even expect that she would be able to draw us so beautifully, but the gift pleased me, although it was no longer a surprise. Then Sylvia continued to paint pictures. At first, this didn't seem like a big deal. But over time, she began to spend more and more time with canvas and paints and less time with me. It was somewhat embarrassing. But I tried to look for the reason in myself, trying to come up with romantic surprises for her. Once Sylvia told me that she would go again to paint the sunset. She was allowed to paint on the roof of a high hotel. From here you have an unsurpassed view of the city. It was very beautiful here. I thought it would be quite romantic to spend time here with Sylvia. So I decided to give her a little romantic surprise. When Sylvia went to paint the sunset, I went to the store, bought a beautiful bouquet of scarlet roses, took delicious cheese and a bottle of good wine. I walked thinking about what a wonderful evening lay ahead of me. I've been to this hotel before. I managed to get on the roof without any problems. But what I saw just shocked me. I went up to the roof and suddenly saw how Sylvia was sitting with Carl. They were drinking wine and laughing. I realized that there was no talk of painting a picture. I could not be seen, but I could see and hear them perfectly. "Carl, it's just a delightful evening," Sylvia said with delight. "Sylvia, it's all just for you," Carl replied. "How tired I am of my husband, of his suspicions. I had to lie about you being an artist. It's good that we were then in the workshop where you delivered all this drawing equipment. And then I had to look for a real master who painted this fucking portrait and other pictures so that William would not suspect anything. Yes, baby, don't worry. I was able to steal this painting equipment and sell it very profitably. So soon. We'll clean your husband's safe too. It's good that this jerk still keeps a lot of money in cash. We will take all the money, and you can leave him, and you and I will go on a trip around the world at the expense of your husband. I have almost everything ready for this robbery. Great idea. Or maybe then not to leave him, but just go to rest, and then come back and clean him up. Again. He will never guess anything, he loves me too much to suspect such a thing. Or, in the end, he can be killed altogether, and then I will own absolutely everything that he has. After all, he has no one closer to me. I like the way you think, dear. Come to me, my treacherous bitch, said the bastard and began to undress Sylvia. In a moment, these bastards were fucking on the roof right in front of my eyes. I was shocked by what I heard and saw. My heart clenched in my chest, I couldn't breathe. This strong shock literally immobilized me for a short time. But I came to my senses, ran up to these bastards and kicked Carl with all my might. Carl rolled, and Sylvia screamed in surprise. Oh, you shameless creature. I yelled at Sylvia. William, please calm down. Let me explain everything. Sylvia began to reassure me. Can you explain? What the hell are you trying to explain? How the fuck are you with that? Motherfucker? Or how did you want to rob or kill me? I heard everything, and I don't need your cheap excuses. I spoke out in rage. I stood near the edge of the roof. While I was yelling at Sylvia, Carl got to his feet. He decided to run up and push me right off the roof before I could see him. And Sylvia at that moment tried to speak her teeth to me, seeing what Carl was up to. But as soon as this clumsy bastard started running towards me, he stepped on a bottle of wine that he was drinking with Sylvia. When I kicked it, this bottle also rolled. It was dark, and it so happened that the bottle lay right in the path of this bastard, and he did not see it. Carl slipped and lost his balance. I managed to dodge, and this bastard flew straight down from the roof. Stunned, Sylvia yelled in a voice that was not her own. You're right, Sylvia, I loved you too much to believe that. I never would have thought you were such a disgusting bastard. But now you get yours. I'm divorcing you, and you can go and scrape your bastard off the pavement. I said, turned around and left. Luckily, there were hidden cameras on the roof of this hotel that caught Carl slipping and falling off the roof. I was not charged. And I successfully divorced Sylvia. Thanks to the work of my lawyers, I managed to leave this bitch without a penny. She was now free and poor, having forgotten what it means to earn her own food. But now she has to remember it. My life has continued. Trying to cope with resentment and bitterness from the realization that for so many years I lived in a lie. I finally met Jessica. This woman filled my life with meaning and gave me back a sense of happiness. Our relationship became stronger, and I forgot about my unsuccessful previous experience. But now I did not seek to trust people. I was very careful, because I remembered this lesson for the rest of my life. And a few years later I learned that Sylvia had never been able to adapt to an independent life. She ended up behind bars for a failed robbery attempt. Then I found out that it finished her off completely, and she became simply insane. But I no longer had sympathy for her. She chose this path and paid for it.